That's right. Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And folks, the Snyder Cut has in fact been released, and we are here to discuss it. So, oh my god, we've got a lot to go over, so no time to waste. It is our Snyder Cut SpoilerCast. Dragon, I don't know about you. We really haven't talked about it. You know, kind of my general thoughts, but of course, you and I, we went in with it's very rare for us to go in with exactly the same expectations for something. I mean, don't get me wrong, like there's times where, you and I are both hyped about something, but with this, it's like we are both equally trepidatious about this. And Dragon, I gotta say, this is by far my favorite Zack Snyder movie. I feel like the clouds have been lifted and I see his vision for like an epic Lord of the Rings style mythological take on the DC franchise. This is hopeful while still maintaining kind of like a darker and more somber atmosphere. Dragon, I don't know. I didn't just like this. I kind of loved it. And I think a lot of it is kind of like the behind the scenes. I'm really fascinated by editing in general. It's one of the things that drives my fandom for Survivor, which I know you love me talking about, Dragon. But this is a fascinating experiment in editing, Dragon. If anything else, and I feel like that definitely probably drives my enjoyment of this thing because I feel like at the heart of it, at the very least, this is a very good superhero movie, if not great. I feel like there are certain moments, certain elements in here that are top of the genre for me. And this is coming from someone who honestly kind of like Justice League just as a change of pace in the DC movies. Little did I know, oh my god, Dragon, this movie makes the Justice League, as we will henceforth refer to it as. This movie makes that movie look like a joke. I mean, oh my god. I'm kind of a fanboy, Dragon. It makes me want to rewatch the Snyder movies. I don't know what to tell you. This is one of my most pleasant surprises that I've had in quite a while. I thoroughly enjoyed this. All right, we got really quick. We got Atomic Beast and Orange Crush in the comments here. Let's see. Orange Crush says this movie improved everything from its predecessor. I thoroughly agree. After the DC animated universe, it's hard to make something that could set up that masterpiece. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I'm sure Dragon can agree to that. Dragon, I'm dying here. I'm dying. Like this might be one of the first times that I like a superhero thing more than you do. What's your take, man?
Okay, well, let me clarify something. So you're saying this is your favorite, like, just period, Zack Snyder movie?
This is my favorite Zack Snyder movie. Absolutely, number
Even
one.
more than Watchmen?
More than oh yeah, definitely more than Watchmen. Yeah, the reason why I think it's better than Watchmen is I feel like it's whereas Watchmen is very much pretty much a beat by beat adaptation of the book. This is kind of his own thing. And this has elements of a lot of different things. But like I said, Dragon, at the heart of it, this is superhero storytelling on an epic level. And honestly, Dragon, like I said, I feel like there's a couple different factors for why this spoke to me as much as it did. I think, like I said, one of them is the editing factor. Another one is honestly like kind of the Lord of the Rings fanboy in me. This had a lot of Lord of the Rings elements in it, oddly enough. And Dragon, I know that's not really your thing, so but yeah, honestly, this better than 300, better than Watchmen. I mean, 300 was never really my thing. That was always for me. I know that's a classic, but that was always like a style over substance affair for me. So yeah, I mean, I pretty definitively this is my favorite Snyder movie.
All right, so okay, here's my thesis. Buckle up, kids.
Oh no.
All right, so here's my big statement on Zack Snyder's Justice League. So the Snyder Cut's complicated. It's the best way to sum up is that it's Snyder Unbound, which is both a positive as well as a negative. Positive, it's an improvement for sure, fuller story, more time with the characters. Negative, I feel it's an overcorrection. It's also an overcorrection. You know, Snyder many a times in the movie he's doubling down on tone, style, and his tropes, which leads
because
to
Lord
some
knows you need 2 extended music video-esque scenes of Aquaman heading into the ocean, right?
right, which kind of leads to some unnecessary padding and some unnecessary moments for sure. And I mean, I kept flip flopping on like the first watch. I was thinking, you know, I think there are some of those moments are also a little pretentious for sure. I mean, it's kind of remember I think there's a pretentious kind of quality to the film. Maybe not the most pretentious Zack Snyder's going to I think that honor goes to Sucker Punch if we're picking one, you know. But you know, I feel think about it. It's unavoidable when the director's name is in the title. The director himself has hyped this up for 4 years, and all these hashtag release of Snyder cuts are involved. It's kind of hard for it not to be pretentious when you think about it, even a little bit. You know,
let me just say, I am separating myself from the we definitely have people in the fandom that I am not associating with the hardcore fandom. We will call it. I love you guys. I don't think you guys are part of the hardcore fandom, you know, the kind of cyberbullying fandom of release, you know, like I know it got pretty intense, Dragon, and I think Zack Snyder himself disassociates from that side of the fandom.
Maybe not enough as he should, though, but yeah, he does disassociate from it.
No, honestly, he called some people out.
Really?
I don't know.
This is news to me. I didn't know this.
I don't know the exact details of it, Dragon. Someone in the comments might be able to clarify. And this has been kind of a controversial thing with him. But he called out geeks and gamers specifically for you know, like not wanting to associate with them. Like, even though I know it's a big thing.
Anyway,
yeah.
I'll refocus it back. Okay,
sorry.
So just finishing up my stuff here is that, you know, Justice League 2017, you know, made I want to just for novelty's sake, just to address it. You know, Justice League 2017 made the best of a bad situation, and in its defense, did have its moments, particularly towards the third act. Had its moments. You know, while here, you know, we get a fuller story. Ultimately, you know, it amounts to an incomplete work, which we knew going into it. We did, and the thing is, it doesn't fix the systemic problems that Zack Snyder created with BVS. And, you know, given how the opening of the movie very much is like, hey, here's what happened in BVS. We're not trying to avoid that, you know? Here's the thing. Ultimately, and also we lost visual. Cool as it is in places, as cool as it may be in places, it's not a cure-all. And, you know, call me crazy, you know, the 4-hour R-rated director's cut, part 1, still not my ideal Justice League movie for the big screen. You know, call me crazy. You know what I mean? Overall, it's not bad, but it's no Donner cut of Superman 2, you know, as far as director's cuts go. That's how I feel about it.
All right. Yes. So this is really interesting, Dragon. I feel like this might be a first where I am kind of a fanboy and you are sort of on the other side of the coin. I'm actually pretty interested to have this conversation now. Oh boy. So you know what? I don't disagree with you on anything you're saying, Dragon. I really don't. Except for one thing. I do think that this does fix a lot of after this, I do very much want to go back and rewatch Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. I really do, because I get where he's coming from with the mythic side of the DC characters in this movie more so than I ever have. And honestly, with this, I honestly kind of feel like there's two sides of the coin with Batman v Superman, especially where okay, Dragon, I'm gonna lay out one last kind of thesis and then we'll get into it because it's a big moment. I think you probably reacted to it as well as I did. And I think it kind of sums up what I love about this movie and why I think it mirrors Batman v Superman so well and why I'm interested to go back and watch Batman v Superman now. The moment right as the Justice League is heading into the third act, and Batman says to Alfred, "Faith, Alfred." Man, that right there, Dragon, the optimism. This movie is the optimistic side of the cynical, brooding nightmare that is Batman v Superman. And I feel like it's almost a yin yang. And I like it's Dragon. Honestly, for me, I'm kind of like I feel like a Star Wars prequels defender in this situation. I really do, because I'm I'm really I'm operating on a couple different levels. Like I said, the editing, the Lord of the Rings epic fantasy thing. Also, Dragon, I feel like this is a great example of auteur theory, where like it's taken me almost a decade to finally see Zack Snyder's vision for what it is in these superhero movies. And I don't, like I said, I don't want to say I see the light in terms of like, oh, now I'm part of the fandom that has a toxic side to it. But I do see the light just in terms of like, yeah, this is a director with a vision. And, as polarizing as that vision is, man, we don't see this auteur of a side of filmmakers in the MCU. I mean, the MCU is something completely different. I'm not saying this is better than the MCU by any means. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. Let's just get into it, Dragon. There's a lot to unpack here. I'm really excited about this.
All right, so folks, we're gonna pretty much go through the way this thing probably should have been released, kind of going by the the chapters of the parts, if you will, breaking it down like such, and mainly talking about the new stuff, mainly. All right,
so let's get into the prologue.
Yeah, okay, so that to me, so here's the prologue, and
I'm not gonna lie, that was probably honestly, every time I rewatch this movie, I'm probably just gonna start with part one, Dragon. We really don't need this.
Yeah, so the prologue I felt was like the bad omen to start the movie.
It was. Don't get me wrong. When it first started, I was like, oh god, okay.
See, initially, here's what happened when I watched it, okay, here's what happened. So when we started with that, I was thinking, oh boy, I was very optimistic for a second. It was like Zack Snyder usually knows how to he opens his films really strong, because I mean, for example, in Man of Steel, The Birth of Superman, that's a really great opening.
Sure.
My favorite being the Watchmen opening. Honestly, the Watchmen opening is great, but my favorite being the opening of BVS, how we adapted the Dark Knight Returns origin. That was he's opened the movie really strongly in Watchmen's case, and slow-mo very effectively. So we're doing slow-mo recap. That's not bad. And then Superman yelled, and then
and then he yelled again. And then he yelled again.
The idea that Superman's scream was the thing that I kind of created, like Luthor's stupid, like the bing bing bing, the bell has already been rung thing at the end of BVS. That the scream literally alerted the mother box and signaled to the universe, and mainly to Apocalypse, that hey, Earth's for the taking now. How? I think it's over the top, and it's not a great concept. This whole the Kryptonian scream is conveying dark side, that hey, the mother boxes are on Earth and they're vulnerable.
Okay, I do think it's over the top. I do think it goes on for way too long. I don't think it's terrible in concept, just because I feel like Superman being, this essentially this god, and again, Dragon, it's going to come back to the mythology thing, which I feel like is our dividing point here. So I'm sorry if I keep going back to it, but it is kind of just like, all right, like it's free for the taking. That like Superman was the closest thing that the DC version of Earth had to a god, and now God is dead. So does it make sense logically? No, probably not. But I do think it makes sense thematically, and I feel like this is a movie that's just very, very marinated in thematic material. So that's my take on it.
No, look, I mean, I like the mythic element of it, Tiki, but the scream, that's what kind of gets me.
No, I totally get you. Yeah.
It's like the logic of the scream is what got me. And also, I mean, like some alternate ways they maybe could have done. I mean, I'm thinking like, hey, remember Lex knows something's coming, and we see Lex for a second there because of the footage we have left over. from BVS, the Ultimate one, where he's in like the ambiotic fluid and everything, learning about Steppenwolf and everything like that. Well, I'm surprised we didn't go either the Expo route with Luthor, or perhaps, we see Bruce climbing the mountain, which essentially takes us into, part one. Snyder's the pace. Here's the, I had a very, I don't know if you had this too. I had a fear in the prologue that did not get assuaged by part one. It was oh God. For a moment, I thought, oh, this is a 2-hour movie that Snyder extended with slow-mo and these songs and these travel money shots.
And that is honestly not wrong at all, but by a certain point, like I said, this is just me talking as a film nerd, as someone, who took 3 years of film school. I kind of like it just in an auteur theory sort of way. It's very much his style. He comes from a music video background. And I do think this movie is a movie of moments. And we marinate and soak in those moments. So we'll go through it. But right. I definitely think Aquaman was kind of like one of the 2 Aquaman scenes. Preferably the one where everyone's singing. Because honestly, like, I will agree, Dragon. I'm going to take a couple notes from Geek Pollution here that I had. I will agree that the There Is a Kingdom song choice is on the nose, but to me it's on the nose in a good way. I like that moment. I don't necessarily like the choir moment just because it is, like, to me, probably the most poorly paced moment in the whole movie. All right, anyways, so yeah, I think you and I are pretty much on the same page with the prologue. I think it's I think it's an interesting theory, like from a myth point of view, but not much more than that. And I certainly don't think it needs to be as long as it is.
Right, we have comments. We also have Romello Malone joining us in the comments.
Yeah, hey there, Romello. How you doing there?
Always nice to see good old Romello.
So, yeah, he says this is his favorite in the DCEU, which honestly, Dragon, for me, it's definitely between this and Shazam. I think I probably might. It's tricky, but I think I might lean maybe a little bit more towards Shazam. Just because I feel like that's just a quintessential family movie. You don't have to, it's not like a major time commitment like the Snyder Cut is. But obviously the Snyder Cut is like the more artistically ambitious movie. So,
well, I mean, out of the bunch, I mean, if we're counting the whole DCEU that we've cultivated so far, I'd say, I mean, I think Shazam turned out the best.
Don't say it.
The best.
What? Don't say it.
What?
Don't say 86.
Okay, first of all, you're thinking of 84.
Oh my God, I'm
Stop
sorry.
saying 86. It's not 86.
Okay, don't say Wonder Woman 1984.
No, I was saying Shazam. What part of me leading with the movie Shazam?
Good.
I'm saying Shazam turned out the best in terms of, pretty much adapted the story flawlessly. And, I don't know. I think Shazam turned out the best of the bunch. What more do you want?
I'm sorry. I thought you were going to have Shazam, but I personally...
I mean, I think it's between Shazam and Aquaman. I think Shazam's a little more simple. I think Shazam's more straightforward. Aquaman has a little bit of extra to it, but outside, you take away... Anyway, we're drifting off focus. Anyway...
And then Romello also says he's hyping up the fight at the park, and I will agree that is definitely we'll get there. All right, so let's move right along to part 1. Don't count on it, Batman.
Yes, the 8-ball title.
I honestly really like these. So one thing I will note, Dragon. And this is something I don't hear people bring up. I think these titles and these parts, it really made the whole thing feel like a comic book miniseries to me. Like, it really made every part to me feel like a standalone issue of a grander story. And I don't know if that was Snyder's intention, or I don't know if that was just to break it up. Like, I feel like it was probably a compromise between doing that and breaking it up into episodes on HBO Max. But honestly, for me, this is like the nerdiest like film school thing ever. But for me, it read well. Like, for me, it helped with the flow of the movie. Breaking it up into chapters, like, it helped give a sense of momentum, of progression. I honestly don't think that it's a very simple thing to do. But I honestly think I would have felt the 4 hours a lot more if in my head I wasn't like, oh, okay, we're on part 4 now. All right, we're halfway done. Like it felt way more like, even though the episodes aren't, even though it's not technically broken up into episodes on HBO Max, I feel like the whole experience is very akin to, is very akin to the experience of binging 6 half-hour episodes. What do you think? Or probably 8 half-hour episodes. Matt.
Yeah, yeah, I think I'm really interested in why ultimately they didn't just release it in individually as episodes or installments, because I think when I re-examined it for what we're doing here, it's like it did really play better. I mean, there was like a great crescendo that we build to at the end of each kind of act, and I kind of really appreciated that, and I felt the story read better that way than when you just watch it like just kind of all straightforward, and you just kind of, even if you give it like these Tarantino chapter headings, it doesn't quite improve the experience. I mean, again, the titles, I like how the titles are thematically tied into their sections, but it makes me beg the question more: why weren't they just sections? Because that would have played even better.
Like I said, I feel like it's just a compromise. I feel like Snyder was probably the deciding factor. Like if they did release them in parts, it probably would have blurred the line between this being a feature film and a miniseries, and I feel like Snyder did not want to blur that line, and I honestly respect that. I can honestly very much look at this as a feature film. God, this is getting into such a minute.
I mean, look, I don't want to just steal from our betters here. I don't want to just steal from our betters here, but I kind of raised the point also raised by said betters, is that, hey, if that's the case, even if Snyder just wanted to make it like a full movie, why not strip out the titles then, just to make it like a full movie?
Okay, well, let's just move right along from the minutia of the titles, Dragon, because this could literally be like a full-on Disney debate question.
Anyway, so I do want to highlight though. So okay, part 1 is probably the weakest of the whole bunch for me. I mean, short of the prologue.
It's a lot of setup.
Short of the prologue, but
you know what? I do appreciate that we don't get the. I honestly think that one of the worst scenes in the Joss Whedon version that is thankfully just gone is that really cringe opening rooftop scene with Batman that really just gets Batman's character off on the wrong foot in the Joss Whedon version. What do you think?
I don't think that Batman opening, because it was cool to see Batman on a rooftop chasing a criminal, and
I thought the dialogue in that scene was really bad. I don't know.
I'm just saying it was kind of cool. I mean, the set piece and everything was kind of neat. But
I personally like that we just jump right into like, all right, Aquaman.
Well, no, I'm saying this version does make more sense, Tiki. I'm just saying if you're talking about that other version, I don't think the other version was worse. But yeah, in terms of the whole beard logic, yeah, it's all off. Yeah. But no, I do want to highlight that I think the performances shine more in the Snyder cut for sure. Especially Affleck. I think Affleck comes across, not that he didn't come, but you can see like I still feel ultimately,
no. Reshoot Affleck just looks miserable, and you can totally tell when it's reshoots. And it's so refreshing, like that we actually have an Affleck Batman performance that kind of redeem, like, because honestly, Dragon, I really do think that reshoot Affleck, up there with George Clooney, is the worst Batman, the worst live action Batman.
Well, I mean, I can only recall one scene with. Well, I mean, technically, there's 2 scenes with reshoot Batman. I can clearly pick out. I mean, did you see more?
I mean, there's a lot of like pickup lines. Like, I basically assume that all the cringy Batman humor in that movie is reshoots.
Okay, well, what I'm getting at is
all that cringy humor got cut out. Sorry.
Yeah. What I'm getting at is, I mean, when you look at the DCEU, I still feel, and I think people would agree, is that his performance in BVS, while not crazy about Batman driving through people in that movie, his performance is phenomenal. It's great. He has a great performance in that film, and basically, it's been kind of. It kind of lost a little part of the DNA each film. Like when he popped up in Suicide Squad, it was fine, but then you have that Amanda Waller scene. It was like, yeah, not his best stuff. And then it kind of gets to the Justice League, where I was hoping the arc in the grand DCU was going to be that, okay, so he went from a Dark Knight Returns Batman to kind of a Brave and the Bold team-up Batman, which is kind of a neat idea. And but I like here though. It's like what we use from the footage that Snyder shot is that Batman here he's played a little bit more straightforward, more in character. It seems like it's less Affleck kind of struggling for material. It seems in a lot of the reshot stuff that we have with the Justice League, if you will.
Yeah, no, I just think you're right. You're absolutely right. I feel like the arc from Dark Knight Returns to Brave and the Bold is that's absolutely, like I said, that's why I think the whole Faith Alfred that hits for me, and that's why, and that's simply because the arc to me works really well.
We'll get to that scene, but
oh man, I thought you'd be all over that.
I have as much enthusiasm about a different Batman line, but we'll get there. Okay. So I believe I'm going to get.
This is a really surreal conversation we're having, Drake.
So regardless, I think it's a big pro for the film. With one performance in exception, I feel everyone else was kind of lifted by the cut. With one exception, which we'll get to.
Is that one exception Gal Gadot?
Well, no, I didn't think that at all. I'll admit I didn't think she was doing anything extra, but I didn't think she was bad.
My problem with Gal Gadot, and we'll get to it in part 2, is that you don't want to give Gal Gadot a lot of exposition, and they give Gal Gadot a lot of exposition, and it's unfortunate.
We'll get there. So broad spectrum is we. I think we made some weird choices. Like, for example, the Icelandic negotiation to meet Aquaman. Here's what I want to emphasize. I love the acting in this scene, which was lacking in the other version. We have Batman knows that it's Aquaman. He's smart. He's figured out. He knows that he's talking to Aquaman in the scene right now. It's well acted, but if you really think about it, it doesn't make any sense. Where it's that performance is great, but if Batman can just speak the language, why is he? Why is he doing that? And if you think about the chief elder guy, the guy who's leading the room right there, this guy's saying, you treat us like you dog, you treat us like children in the room. This conversation makes no sense. What are you saying? He's offering you money to talk to the guy. How is this offensive to you? None of this tracks. Then the kid takes the money anyway. What is this scene? But again, it's well. It's
honestly, like, you know what it is. You're pointing out really, really valid points. To me, it's just I feel like in that point of the movie, we had so far to go that my defenses were so up that I was just kind of whatever. I'm expecting a lot of bullshit, so just hit me with it.
And speaking of said BS,
all right.
So look, I'm not gonna knock points off. Pretty much, we have the same scene of the same conversation, only it's not as loud. Hey, Batman! So here's the good thing is that because it's an Icelandic village, and we had that again. While there's a lot of logic holes in that scene. The fact is they need to be translated. So that means if he's just calling Batman, they're probably not going to get that.
Yes, that's
not bad. So what I'm saying is I think it's a losing battle ultimately. This whole thing we're pretending that the BVS Superman was more optimistic than he was. That's a losing battle anyway. So even the other cut had that problem. There's no fixing that, unfortunately. But when he's trying to make the sales pitch about Superman and everything, Superman wanted us to come together. It's well, no, he didn't. He didn't say anything in that movie. But speaking of legit BS, though, the bizarre Mothra song for Aquaman. People sniff and
worst addition in the Snyder Cut, in my honest opinion.
100%, I agree. That's what I'm saying. That and the scream are not good omens. You can see what I'm saying when I'm watching for the first time.
Get the worst thing out super early, Dragon. So you know what? I can live with it.
Sure. That's what I'm saying. It does not help on the first viewing, but on a rewatch, once you made peace of, we got to get through this. We have these many odd musical choices, like we're just playing. Again, I don't know. Snyder's song choices were not as good as they were in Watchmen with this movie. I don't know. So, anyway,
honestly, I feel like it's kind of equal to Watchmen in terms of I'm not a fan of Watchmen song choices either, just because I feel like they're super obvious.
Well, yeah, but I don't think that's a bad thing, though.
These are super obvious, too. So, like I said, I feel like it's kind of on the same level.
Anyway. All right, so we have the weird ladies.
Not on the same level as Watchmen. I take that back. Watchmen, I'm not a fan of Watchmen, but, Watchmen is... Anyways, go ahead.
Anyway, so we have this the weird lady smelling Aquaman's shirt, but let's talk about one of the MVPs of the cut here, man. Alfred, we got a lot of great Alfred stuff in here, man. Of course, the running theory that we've kind of noticed that there's never been a bad Alfred. Hopefully, there never will be a bad Alfred. So it's just like it's one of the MVPs.
I dare someone in the comments to point out a legitimately bad Alfred.
Yeah.
Maybe Alfred from just because this book ruins pretty much everyone. Maybe Alfred from All-Star Batman and Robin.
Well, even then he was buff, but he was hopeful.
Fair enough.
But that was more adaptations, but sure.
Right.
Anyway, anyway, so the point, we had some great bits. We have Jeremy Irons Alfred. He was great. We got even better stuff. I think some of the best Jeremy Irons Alfred stuff in this movie.
I mean, we had very little Jeremy Irons Alfred. He was always good, but he always felt like a little bit of an afterthought, and he doesn't feel like an afterthought.
He only had 2 scenes. I think he only had like 2 scenes in Justice League, and he had no interactions with any. He only had like maybe 1 interaction with the Flash, and that was about it. You know.
Well, of course, 2 big Alfred moments from the trailers that actually do make it into this cut are, the interaction with Cyborg, the whole like, "Do I know you?" and then the big Superman thing, like, "Hopefully it's not too late." And those 2 moments alone just kind of give him a little bit of a rapport with the crew. But honestly, the whole crew is kind of hanging out with Alfred. He's kind of like he's kind of like the George Martin of the group, Dragon. If you know your Beatles history, George Martin was the Beatles producer. Beatles people will get that reference.
Sure. So, it's funny. I rewatched the Beatles episode of the Powerpuff Girls recently. So, anyway. But yeah, of course, I love him making some excellent points as they tend to do. Like, perhaps a man who broods in a cave for a living isn't recruiter material. There's great stuff like that. So anyway, Alfred, I love him. Lois, here's the thing. Lois, for being the key, still kind of does diddly, but you feel the loss more, though. I'll give it points there. You feel the loss.
Okay, my issue with Lois is you feel the loss. Okay, God, there's a few things here.
Here's the thing. Okay, here's the thing with Lois, that I the payoff on the rewatch is not great, but I like the idea.
There's something like at least there is a payoff.
Yeah, like she keeps bribing. First watch, I didn't get until the rewatch. Like, okay, so she's bribing this cop to be let into the shrine, which apparently in at least a year hasn't been cleaned up yet. But she visits the shrine, and she bribes him with coffee. It's kind of cute. But of course, basically, we're doing this so she has a reason for being there later, because we don't have, I think, the better version, which is Batman had a contingency for her to come there. But anyway,
yeah.
Right.
I don't know. I just, generally speaking, I just feel like the tone with Amy Adams, Lois Lane has been all off. I just feel
sad Lois.
Yeah, it's like Lois Lane is supposed to be spunky and perky, and this Lois Lane is just kind of the opposite of that in pretty much every movie she's been in. So I don't know, man. You feel some sympathy for her, but other than sympathy, there's not much of a personality there still.
I want to see Amy Adams act in a movie. I don't want to see her be sad.
No, I mean, that's the thing. Amy Adams, she has been perky and spunky in other movies, and she does it very well. So I feel like this is like a Natalie Portman in the prequel situation, where it's like, it's not the performer, it's the director. So it's like, I do feel like Snyder has pulled out some wonderful performances here, but for some reason, the direction on her in particular was just off.
All right, let's see. The Wonder Woman hostage scene. So this is I really love this scene. This is one of the scenes I count on one hand I liked in the other cut. So I keep flip-flopping on which is better, but I mean, ultimately, okay, this scene really does come together well here. I'm not crazy about the blood spatter, but in the idea of Wonder Woman just kind of killing these guys, whatnot. That the basic term,
just like you, Wonder Woman.
So I love that. I love the optimistic ending to that scene. After her checking on the kids and all, can I be like you someday? It's like that's a nice scene, man. That's what Snyder is going for this whole time. He's going for like the iconic, kind of the new mythology of the DC universe sort of thing. That's where that's clicking. But again, maybe making her like Batman in that BVS scene, there's they're throwing crates at people and they're throwing them against the wall. I don't know. I mean, it's cool action, but I just wish, honestly, if we could just change that one bit, like, hey, she punches a guy, heads towards the kids, and then punches him the other way, and then blood spat on the walls. Like, that was like, oh, come on. I'll give you a buy on everything else, but because that's again, it was such a well. Also, one thing we should mention, though, I didn't like how we altered her theme. I didn't like how we had like we had like the screaming choirs. I don't know what is with Snyder and the screaming in this movie, like the chanting. I don't know, it's weird.
No, I'm generally with you. I don't have a ton to say about this. It's honestly one of the I feel like the stakes are raised a little bit more, but and there's a better payoff with the bomb. But other than that, I feel like there's not a ton that's changed around here.
Right, and also we have a better version of that line, the whole like I don't believe it versus I'm a believer versus like you basically one being a big fan of the Shrek franchise, but But yeah, also very again, this is where we're starting to get really slow mo heavy. We're like, okay, Wonder Woman deflecting the bullets makes sense to do slow mo, maybe not up for like the first 3 bullets. Like, let's not like I'm reaching over. Anyway, all right, so okay, so the end of Act 1. So the end of part 1, I should say, is the Themyscira action sequence. And this is a vast improvement over what was in the other version. This is like the Amazons put up much more of a fight. I'll admit it's still kind of a
Steppenwolf is good, actually.
Yeah. So Steppenwolf. So we have comments about Steppenwolf. Yes, Orange Crush. Tiki at 10-10.
Okay, hold on. Least favorite part of the original version was Steppenwolf. It's probably my favorite part of this version. I mean, I wouldn't go as far as to say he's my favorite character because I feel like what they did with Flash and Cyborg was freaking phenomenal, and we'll get there. But he was very good, though. I mean, the look was super improved. I love the armor.
Yeah. Of course, the CG definitely looks better. We actually made him look like kind of that, like the little hologram, kind of Kryptonian, metal hologram thing at the end of BVS with like the giant horns and everything. And it kind of plays into the whole thing. The Alfred Batman conversation later about the whole the bull and the red cape. So he very much is the bull. Superman should be the red cape, only it's black later.
Of course, we'll get to the dark side stuff, but I feel like him being kind of like, the assistant manager role, if you will, like, kind of like middle management of these epic bad guys. Like, it's not a ton. It's not Thanos, but it makes sense. It's a character arc.
It would have been really interesting to see if they went with Steppenwolf's original design, like the one that's in the DCAU and everything, where he's like a guy with like kind of a stocking cap on before he's like the guy with the giant horns that he was kind of made into the comics years later, and that's what we're going with now. Him like the giant. Anyway, but yeah, I mean the horns, the voice. He has more of an imposing presence. Feels very apocalyptic.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's a bit of an oversell with the spiky look, but I mean it's cool, I guess. It's nothing really wrong with it.
It's like good Lightfeld.
Sure. But I mean, honestly, it's the whole sequence. I mean, while I do question why is there a room full of Amazons guarding the box like 24/7? And they just like a whole room of like 60 or so Amazons guarding the box like forever. Not just like, hey, the box is making a noise. Let's get in there. Like, no, just waiting there, and then boom, there it happens. Anyway,
they're like the fleet of Star Destroyers that Palpatine just happens to have on hand in Rise of Skywalker. They're just chilling out, just waiting for their moment.
It's like it becomes a question though, like how many Amazons can possibly be on that island though? I suppose we have like a huge wave of them coming later on. It's like how many Amazons are on this island? But anyway, I do question how Hippolyta is not a goner in the scene, though. Again, I love the action. I love like we see the stronghold like go off the cliffside. That was awesome. The scale, like Steppenwolf's punching horses. It's crazy.
I think that in the original, this scene is just kind of like, oh, hey, we get Themyscira for just a little bit. It's like just a little pit stop. In this, it's like, okay, like here we go. This is like the first big epic action set piece in the Lord of the Rings epic. And Steppenwolf is just genuinely super intimidating, and I love it.
Yeah, I mean, also we set up kind of the runner, which this makes a lot more sense for now, just having the Amazon sequence be more memorable, is that Wonder Woman has a grudge against Steppenwolf for doing all this damage to Themyscira.
Sure.
So strong, again, part 1 has a strong ending, but it's kind of takes some doing getting there. So now the story's starting to get cooking.
Right, part two, the Age of Heroes. So Dragon, by all means, anything. So with the Aquaman stuff, like I said, I do like that there's a kingdom scene, just because I honestly think just it's Zack Snyder style. Just like I think it works a lot better in terms of just being visually interesting than the choir thing does. What was your take on that moment?
I'm sorry, you mean the main Aquaman conversation, right?
I mean that just the moment where he's like going into the water and it's
All
all
right. Well, oh yeah,
slow mo.
that was always a cool shot, though. I gotta be honest, like
Yeah,
it's cool. Like Aquaman's going off like the don't walk while the pier is wet sort of thing. Like that was pretty cool. A lot of people pointing out the great logic of, man, Aquaman's he's just littering all over the place in this movie. He's like throwing like the bottle and everything in the water. It's like
I mean my defense for that is like it's one bottle. It's not like that's going to be doing like a
no,
ton
no,
of damage in the
I
long run.
agree. I just think it's funny that people get really kind of
Yeah.
littering on it. So I mean, they're not wrong, but it's like, yeah, I mean, he's gonna become a king. He's gonna monitor that stuff better later anyway. So you know, I mean, I think getting to that scene, so they changed that up. Like originally, it was like a plot reason that he went down there. Like that parademon caused that guy to shipwreck, and I kind of wish that was the Aquaman introduction of him saving like a fisherman. Like it would have been a much better
That
introduction. But
honestly kind of should have been the Aquaman introduction. I kind of agree with you there.
yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, the Batman scene, again, the acting in that Batman scene was good, but everything else about it kind of makes me think, yeah, what this should have been the opening, should have been the intro.
No, I hear you. I'm with you.
But here's a major change that I thought was great. I love the scene with Defoe as Volko. This was a great scene. This plays so much better. I mean, I know we repurposed it later for here, and it plays better. But you look at the Justice League. You have the scene with Mira, which does not play well. We kind of do kind of the similar thing with Volker here, only it plays tremendously better. Where we tee up the whole Reluctant King story with Aquaman, some good acting from Defoe, like really impassioned about, your mother. I trained you at the behest of your mother. You're doing
I
a
mean, it's a
disservice to
Willem
her.
Dafoe scene, Dragon.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like this is more compelling Dafoe stuff than anything we actually got in Aquaman.
Well, I mean, it's good. Basically, it's kind of an economized version of what we got in
Well, I'm
within
just
an
saying, like what we
Aquaman.
got in Aquaman to me was just like it wasn't bad, but it was like pretty typical, just like like Dafoe being being the inspirational kind of like Uncle Ben type. But
Right.
this, it's like I like the friction here.
Yeah, yeah, and of course, you got to admit the air bubble thing's still pretty silly, though.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. All right, let's see. So, okay, just a few kind of little tidbits here. We have Ryan Choi in the movie. He was not in there at all. We have Ryan Choi, the guy who eventually runs Star Labs by the end of the film, who kind of takes Silas Stone's place. Ryan Choi, he is the second Adam.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was kind
Did
of trying to figure out in my head, like, do I know that name? Like, I'm sure that name means something.
Yeah, the Adam's like DC's Ant-Man.
Yeah, I know who the Atom is.
Anyway, yeah, so he's the second one to take up the mantle. So it's kind of cool. Like, yeah, you got Ryan Choi in there. It's not bad.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so let's see. Okay, here's something. Okay, so the way Wonder Woman's alert is a lot better here. So the Amazon shoot this. Hippolyta shoots an arrow, and traditionally it's like, okay, so Hippolyta shoots an arrow that lights a little thing on fire, and Wonder Woman knows it's trouble. What we do here is that, okay, so not how the heck does this arrow land? Well, we now know how it lands. It's a god arrow. It's the Arrow of Artemis. The Greek, one of the Greek legends. So Artemis's arrow gets it from point A to point B, and it's like a little puzzle pieces. And you take this arrow, you put it down where it lands, and it's going to tell you, the dark side's coming, which is big. That kind of helps one with the research and everything. So it plays really well visually. It's like, again, we're building up dark side very well. So gave it a little bit of a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let me tell you my kind of equivalent with the whole, like, it's faith, Alfred.
Okay.
So this is kind of in a few places in the movie, but it starts here. So Batman is trying to do right by Superman in this movie, which is great, and actually given some character progression from BVS. Where he felt really bad about what happened by the end of that movie, and we're kind of Alfred has kind of phrased it in conversation with Bruce here, is that saying, why are you doing this? Why are you're acting like the world's going to end tomorrow, and you're trying to do right by him. Alfred, I made a promise to him on his grave, which we know how important that is to Batman. Making promises
totally.
on the graves of important people, and the loved ones and such. So I love that it ties into a cornerstone of Batman. That to me, that was like, okay, we're back into the core of who Batman is, and we're kind of applying.
That's what I'm saying, man, and that's why I am kind of optimistic about the unsure thing about like this and BVS being kind of like a yin yang of each other.
I'm not fully sold on that, but I get where your head's at. So maybe it'll do that, but
All right.
I do think it's kind of a missed opportunity when you look at the grand scope of things here. That Batman and Steppenwolf, they never really got a scene together. Given that they both are trying to, they're both kind of trying to do right by somebody who they failed. I don't know. I'm saying the Steppenwolf has a bit with everyone else in the movie, but not really Batman. So.
Okay, so then we get the big epic Lord of the Rings prologue, which is it long? Yes. Is it self-indulgent? Absolutely, but I love it. Honestly, I think this shit kicks ass. Honestly, point out whatever plot holes you want to point out, whatever. I just think visually it's stunning. It's Zack Snyder style on full force, and I genuinely think it is the best realization of Snyder's whole philosophy of these characters being the modern day NIFs that I think has ever been put to screen for Snyder. I'm it sounds kind of cheesy, Dragon. I'm just kind of I'm proud of him, man. I'm proud of my boy.
Yeah, so I have no problems.
My Snides. I'm proud of my Snides.
Oh, Tiki, that's not good.
No, I know it's not.
No, but seriously, I have no qualms with the flashback. I thought the flashback was great, and of course, major thing we should have done, let's have Darkseid at least at one point in this movie do his own dirty work, and this was the scene I think the one scene they kind of glimpsed in the trailer because I went into this movie back when it was announced hey there was a Snyder cut and only thing I ever knew about the thing when it was first mentioned okay the ending was supposed to have Darkseid Steppenwolf answering the Darkseid in some way shape or form. And that was going to be our peek at Darkseid. And I was always like, how the heck do they leave that out of the movie? One scene at least. And then when the trailer rolls around, they could give you a glimpse at this, which was oh god, shirtless Darkseid is swinging a weapon of some kind. Come on, Darkseid's a lot cooler. And of course, the idea being, it actually makes perfect sense because this is Darkseid before he became Dark. This is the proto Darkseid. This is the whole Eulaxis or however you pronounce his original name. The point was he's the dumber warrior version of Darkseid before he became. This is him for the kids out there. This is him before he found the Omega beams and everything. Before he got his major superpower. Anyway. So, Darkseid presumably in pursuit of the anti-life equation, which is his whole shtick, which basically, again, he was too stupid in this flashback to realize when he hits a planet, all these red lines, that's what he's looking for. He was just too dumb at the time to realize that. Because, again, pre-Darkseid. But the important thing, you're right, Tig. Seeing the full scope of it all, we actually get to see a little bit more of the Green Lanterns. You have Zeus and Ares. By the way, David Thewlis did not reprise his role as Ares.
I was wondering about that. I was wondering.
But remember, Ares actually strikes the near killing blow. He's the one who hits him with the axe.
Yeah, I was surprised to see Ares pop up. I got to admit.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Dragon, like I said, as epic as all this is, it's not flattering for Gal Gadot. You really I don't know.
I didn't really pay it much mind, but I guess if I went back to it, maybe you'd be right. I don't know. But I guess
watched the first two parts twice. So maybe that has something to do with it.
Maybe. So the point being, we set up our stakes here, how things go down, the whole unity of the mother boxes. Basically, if you get all three mother boxes together, you create apocalypse on Earth, which is the usual MO of Darkseid when he conquers a planet. You turn the planet into a fire pit.
It's kind of like Diet Coke Thanos.
Again, it's complicated, but yeah, sure.
Oh god,
it's just Darkseid's the cooler version.
I'm not
of
saying
Thanos.
In the comics, Dragon. I'm saying the way it's presented in this movie. All right, we just go with that.
Sure. I guess yeah. Anyway, the cool thing though, we actually got to put in the dialogue here is the whole the new 52 version of the Parademons, which is a really cool idea that the Parademons are the survivors after he does this, and the survivors.
I love this. It's very, very Ring Wraith.
Yeah, so basically the survivors and the corpses are repurposed into parademons, like these mindless, the bug-like slaves of Darkseid. So that's kind of we got
freaking ring wraiths. I love it.
Yeah. So, end of the day, there's really strong ending of an act of, okay, these are the stakes, this is the history of sorrow. We basically
So far,
just
both
save.
acts have had really, really good endings.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. When you break it up into parts, it does really build to a nice crescendo by the end.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
All right, so we
All
have
right,
stakes. All right.
let's get to one of my favorite parts, honestly, which is part 3. Beloved mother, beloved son, and this is kind of a 1-2 punch of introducing the best characters in this movie, Dragon, in my humble opinion, Flash and Cyborg. Now Flash, it's interesting, Dragon. Flash is an interesting case where I remember, like, on the first viewing of the original Justice League, I quite liked him. But then every time I saw like reviews of it and I saw the jokes like in retrospect, like the whole like what is brunch and Dostoevsky and everything like that. Like it was man, those jokes really didn't land. But no, so let me tell you right now, the Flash introduction scene is my favorite scene in this movie. I think it's fucking brilliant. I think it's like it's cinematic perfection. It encapsulates everything that you could love about the Flash in a single fucking scene. Dragon, I was blown away by it. Um, is the music choice a little weird? Yes, but I feel like the music choice being as over the top melodramatic as it is, it sets up for the payoff of the joke. Like for example, I think it is very intentional that like you get this big over the top music choice, and it's super dramatic. You think he's gonna save the girl, but no, he goes for the hot dog at first. Like one of my favorite bits where you don't. I haven't heard anyone else bring this up. It's a very simple performance choice, but as he goes for the hot dog, you see on Ezra Miller's face like kind of like a laugh of like, oh, I know exactly. Like, you see him like kind of put the pieces together of like, oh, I'm going to take the hot dog and use it for the dogs later. Like you see all the gears turning in his head. Like, and that payoff is just, oh my God, it's absolutely perfect. It's like, Snyder, you actually did humor like wonderfully well. I love it so much, Drake. What are your thoughts? I hope you liked it at least half as much as I did.
Do you remember that scene in season 1 of The Flash where Harrison Wells, the Reverse Flash, he does that little does hand move to Cisco when he kills him?
Yes, yes.
That's pretty much me right now to you.
Oh no, really?
So remember the one performance I was talking about that didn't mesh?
Oh no! No! God, no! I'll fight you on this.
All right. Look,
on this, motherfucker.
So just let me.
This isn't accurate. You're just being purely inaccurate right now.
Okay, look, just let me. Okay, so I was with you with the original Justice League, and I liked Flash, where everyone else is like detracting from the Ezra Miller Flash with the original stuff. Because also you had a lot of these great moments too, like the whole save one person and the whole the Bono and Superman. Like that was great.
I do miss save one person. That's probably the thing from the Joss Whedon cut I miss the most.
And because of this scene, we don't get that scene too, because again, he saves a person, so therefore we don't need that scene. So that's
a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
Okay, but let me pad it out a little bit here. In that, I think on the whole, I think Flash after his introduction scene, I think he gets better. It's just after.
Oh, you're blowing my mind. You're blowing my mind.
Pretty much everything else with the Flash, I think, came across a lot better. It's just this opening, the introduction did not.
You are blowing. Dragon. This might be one of the most like polar opposite opinions you and I have ever had. This is mark this down, folks. 53 minutes and 15 seconds into the Justice League spoiler cast. Wow. No, this is honestly one of my favorite scenes in the entire.
Oh, I gathered that. I gathered it's your favorite scene.
Wow. What about the characterization do you not like?
Okay. So for me, I felt it was a rough scene. I think it was kind of the dumbest example of Snyder's Unbound with like the slow mo in that moment of we have Iris and we save Iris, and I just feel like when he snaps into motion, I love like he breaks his shoes and he saves the girl. Like in concept, that should be an amazing. I should be completely on board for that scene, but it's just then it's pretty much for half the reasons you said, because again, you have the music choice, you have just this like the weird hot dog stuff, just the reason for the car accident in the first place. Which, by the way, this part, a lot of car accidents, a lot of bad driving in the DCU if you really look at it, because you have that going on for it. It's just there's. I mean, his humor, even building to that point before the slow mo, it was like his humor was not landing with me. It was like it's kind of painful when you watch it. It's like he's going for the interview with either as a dog walker or a guy working at the pet store, whichever that was. There might be some logic. Why is Iris there? I assume she has a dog. Yet the dog's not in the scene. I don't know, but let's just table. That's fine. It's just like he's like, yeah, look, paper monster. Oh, he's just really, I don't know. He's just being really kind of odd in the scene, and then we just take forever in the slow-mo, where, again, you think the Flash would go a little faster, but we're doing Flash time, so I guess that's fine. But he's just taking forever to save Iris, and he's kind of creepily lingering on it. I don't know. It's just not landing, and it's not really. I don't know. It's just I should be in love with this scene, but I'm not. It just doesn't quite click.
All right.
I don't think it's Ezra Miller's best, but I think I think when we do the slow mo dramatically later on, it's phenomenal. When we do it later, when he does the go back, when he goes back, he rewinds the clocks. I think that's great. And that's kind of what that point of this scene is, in a sense. It's just, I don't know. It's just I feel like we
I don't know what to say, Dragon. I think the hot dog bit was like a phenomenal payoff in terms of humor. Like I genuinely just like was laughing out loud at the payoff.
It's like, why did you not get the job? I mean, like, even if okay, hey, a little meat snack for the dogs, right? Do I start on Monday? It's like, it's just, I don't know, it's weird.
Let's just agree to disagree, man.
Happy and lost me when he's crashing into the glass and he breaks the shoes. And again, this, I don't know, like, this versus save one person. I'm going with save one person. I don't think
I think the save one person, I do love the save one person thing, but for me, like, I feel like that scene was strengthened in other ways, which we'll get to. So,
all right, feels like Snyder's drunk on slow-mo, but we'll move on.
Okay, so speaking of Snyder being drunk on slow-mo, Victor Stone.
Yeah, so I think along with Alfred, I think the other MVP of the movie is probably Cyborg. It's got to be, just the most compelling character for sure, right?
Yeah, I think everyone can pretty much agree with that, and I think everyone can also pretty much agree. I'm gonna just get on this bandwagon. Ray Fisher just got absolutely freaking screwed.
Yep. So it looks like we've restored all of Ray Fisher's scenes that we cut out of the other versions. Put them all in there.
Dragon, it honestly like really irritates. It's honestly like, what were they thinking? It's a what were they thinking moment for me. It's like on the editing floor. It's like, okay, we have this character Cyborg. Let's not make him interesting. Like, let's take out literally everything that makes him interesting. I don't get how this happened. I don't get the logic, but I love what we got. I feel like Cyborg is probably one of the most well-written characters in the entire DCEU in this movie.
Of course, the thing with Cyborg I've always felt, and I still feel, and I think maybe factored into what happened in the first movie, is that if Cyborg, all the material we get here is like so great and so of such a good quality. Like, this could be his own film versus being in the Justice League, which is always kind of the curse of that character when you put him on the Justice League. Is that Cyborg is good enough? He doesn't need to be on this team. They're weighing him down. Either that, or I mean, again, the Teen Titans is a place where he can really shine. Like, practically kind of be put in the team leader position if swap him with Robin occasionally. I don't know, but there's always like there's room for growth in Teen Titans where Justice League is always going to be stagnant. He's the tech guy versus like maybe he can do other things. Like he can lead, like he's led other variations of the Teen Titans.
Just the way they illustrate his powers in this thing, though.
Exactly. I want a movie of
Cyborg. It is very Zack Snyder kind of like playing around with the concept of the new gods,
Exactly, and we get to do a lot of we do somewhat of a he views his father as Dr. Frankenstein practically. That's kind of the story we have here. We're using him as like.
I think the father-son stuff in this movie is like honestly so fucking strong. I really do.
I only have one nitpick with the Cyborg stuff, and it's not a problem at all. It's just like kind of like an observation I had. It's like, really, the car accident? Here's the thing: they changed up the origin slightly, and yet again, another car accident right after the Flash scene. It's like, hey. people just don't look where they're going in DC.
Uh-huh.
Where here's the problem. It's less that there's another car accident. It's more the fact of like the damage that Cyborg incurs. Like he's only it's like Alex Murphy in RoboCop. He's only a torso. That came from a car accident versus like a lab like usually it's a lab accident that does that to him. You know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, car accidents. It's like.
I mean, yeah, but I mean
looks
that
like
much
a pretty
damage?
bad car accident.
I mean, maybe, but it's like
it's a pretty head-on collision.
I mean, yeah, I guess. I don't know. Again, it's not a deal breaker; it's just a little suspect. But anyway, but yeah, of course, this part of the Zack Snyder very much with the strong mother connection. The whole strong through line with the mother. Oddly enough, no Nora Allen with the Barry Allen stuff, given like the strong mother kind of aspect of like this and Wonder Woman and everything we've been going through with the other DC characters. Aquaman's mother. It's kind of odd we didn't kind of work her in yet. We just have all the
Martha factor.
That's what I'm saying. You think of all like the most important motherly connection you have with any of these characters. We have like a whole CW show dedicated to that.
By the way, I just want to state for the record, as much as I'm fanboying out about Snyder, I will never forgive the Martha thing. I think the Martha thing is like fucking hilarious in retrospect, but at the same time, it was just ridiculous. All right, anyways.
So again, ultimately with Cyborg stuff, again, the relationship he had with his mother was really nice. Just the whole flashback scene there was really all the Cyborg stuff really clicked. I think my favorite moment in the whole film is, I think it's in this act, is when it's when he helps the struggling waitress, the mother, like that. I think.
Yeah.
And again, kind of a pitch for like, and again, now we know it's a pitch we're never going to get because of how much they screwed the pooch on Ray Fisher. It's like, yeah, well, we're never going to get that Cyborg movie now.
So man, they really just, I feel really bad for Ray Fisher. I really do.
Yep, and again, it's basically this is the more like we now have proof versus like the Jared Leto thing where it's like, well, we know he actually did really good stuff, and that's why he was angry because they cut out all his good.
All I can say is this channel, like I kind of put my foot down about getting political. Hold on, I know we lost the visual. Hold on. So I don't want to get into it, but Dragon, if we were to get into what happened with Ray Fisher, I would get pretty damn political. That's all I'm gonna say. It's a can of worms I don't even want to open.
Right. All right, so let's see. So basically, again, the whole act is pretty much Flash and Cyborg, and what the Cyborg thing plot-wise, the idea is the very logical idea, the parademons, because Cyborg is brought back because of the mother box, therefore they can kind of sense them, they can kind of get a kind of a lock on them, and they know the mother box is close, they're closing in on him, and we have the visit to Henry Allen in prison, which there are two scenes with Henry Allen. The first one's fine, the second one not so much, but. But good old, we actually have Dr. Manhattan playing his father.
What the hell is wrong with the second one? It's a good payoff to his character arc.
You're joking, right? You're not serious.
The second one where what's wrong with it?
Oh, he got his foot in the door! Foot in the door!
I did not mind that.
Oh, come on. That is ridiculous. That scene is silly.
I don't know. I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. I didn't mind that.
That is a silly. I don't know what Billy Crudup was thinking.
Dragon, it's called a good father-son bonding moment, man.
I don't.
It's all he wanted for his son. I don't. Wow. It's like I'm talking.
Well, I'll remind you, he wanted his son to give up on him, less criminal justice, and hey, I got a job in the criminal justice system. So. Okay,
I'm just gonna say this right now, Dragon. This whole conversation is kind of an eye opener for me to not be so cynical, because I tell you, like, being on the other side of it is not fun. This might be a good. This is good therapy for us in our relationship moving forward, I think.
God. Anyway. So, but again, the important thing we get out of this scene is the whole like make your own future setup, which is which is definitely gonna pay off later.
Uh-huh.
Let's see. I love Alfred teaching Diana how to make tea. That's great. I love the whole like.
Alfred and Diana surprisingly have a lot of good chemistry together.
So great. And also, I'm gonna get on this with Snyder. I hope he's listening. So real missed opportunity apparently with these. Classically in the DCAU is like a Batman Wonder Woman relationship that was great, and there was always like kind of this thing you always wanted to happen, and Snyder's been impressed in everything. He's making this dumb pitch like he's been doing for everything else, where he just like says, "Here's stuff that I would have worked in the movies." That again, he can say now because he can like gets like millions of dollars to actually put it in there with stuff we're going to get to later. It's like, hey, I can actually put that in now. I can actually cash the check my mouth is writing.
Oh,
But he keeps putting forward this whole thing that there's kind of like a little bit of evidence for, like, hey, Batman Lois Lane got together. They're going to get together by part 2 or something. It's like, hey, they actually got together while Superman was dead, which is really sick and twisted and wrong. And it just baffles me because there's so much precedent. Like in any version of this, like Batman 1 had chemistry. They had chemistry in BVS, and they have gobs of chemistry here. It's like, why not get these two crazy kids together? There's precedent for it. Why? I don't know. It's like I don't know that. I don't know why he's like going on about this Lois Lane thing, like them having a child together versus I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
Anyway. But I mean, yes, I mean, Diana's kind of in Batman's world is just kind of cool in general, like do the Alfred stuff. And also we set up the gauntlets, which is cool. I love the gauntlets. Now that pays off.
Sure.
Now let's see, of course, some other things, I love here. Of course, we have the GCPD scene where you have Jim Gordon, Chris Basale, and of course the wonderful J.K. Simmons is Jim Gordon. I love any of that.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like J.K. Simmons, Gordon, honestly was kind of wasted even in this. Like I do like the rooftop scene with the Justice League. I think the punchline with Flash is still pretty damn funny.
Yeah, it's great.
But I don't know, man. I just like if we're gonna cast someone as high caliber as J.K. Simmons as Gordon, like we don't like he honestly, even in this version, has hardly anything to do.
That's true, but anyway, slice that Tiki. That's all. They just got him in for a little expository cameo. Which again, as you know, for gobs and gobs, all the Batman stuff we talked about, you don't need much with Jim Gordon. Ultimately, you just need that rooftop scene, and we got a little bit more.
Sure.
So I mean, honestly, I love that you had this fun line from J.K. Simmons where he says, "You're right, Ma. Price, a police academy. What's wrong with dental school?" Funny line. So we tee up the rooftop scene. It's about to occur. He's about to call up Batman using the usual kind of like light, if you will. Meanwhile, we have British Mirror for some reason. Of course, they had no idea where they were going with Aquaman at that time, so they kind of like, hey, what if Mirror were British?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. The Amber Heard situation makes all the Mirror stuff awkward to watch.
Yeah, especially given like she was going to have a role in the part 2 as well.
Yeah. It's weird. Like I understand why you need to have those seeds in there, but it's weird.
Honestly, I think Volka did such a good job. He kind of like why do we really have Mirror in this? Outside of setting up Aquaman,
no, I kind of get you. I kind of get you. I sort of agree.
Because Volko says, "Hey, guard the mother box. It's important." He goes there, and here's what they did, Tiki.
You don't
they
really need
switched
much more than that. Yeah.
What they did here is like even more reason to cut it because they switched it around. Because in the other versions, like it happens before, and that was like his signal, like, "Hey, you should get to the mother box." Where here it's like after the mother box thing goes down, like, "Hey, Arthur, we need your help." So it's literally like a ... at the end of the scene after Steppenwolf gets the box. So we need it even less when you think about it. So. All right, so but again, the mother connect with Aquaman, so again, hence the segment title, and Steppenwolf gets the box, Landon fights, and yeah.
Okie dokie, let's get on to part 4, Change Machine. Right. What do we got going on here?
Of course, we have that rooftop scene we already kind of talked about. Again, the Flash calling out the age-old kind of bat exit is hilarious. I love it so much. We do add some extra lingering with Gordon here, where basically it's kind of Gordon like reacting. Oh, Cyborg's on the rooftop now. He goes, "Wow, okay." He's just kind of processing. How like, okay, there's more of them now. All right, well that's the world where we're at now in the DCU. Okay.
All right.
So then we go to Gotham Harp. We go to the Stryker Island sequence.
Oh, yes. So honestly, Dragon, like I said, like the one thing that is missing here that, like I understand why it's not there because of the Iris scene, of course, but is the whole like save one person. But I think it's a trade-off because the stakes in this are so much higher for the mere fact that Cyborg's dad is involved in it.
Yes, and given that we've now dedicated time to getting to know Cyborg, because all we had with Cyborg and the other one was like Cyborg's mad at his dad, and that's about it.
Cyborg's a sad boy.
Yeah. Oh, you know what I'm saying? I do have to call this out though, because with the effect on Cyborg though, I mean, tell me if you had this. Do his legs look janky and too skinny?
I don't think the effects on Cyborg look great.
Here's the thing, he looks great when he's wearing the hoodie. When he's wearing the hoodie, he looks tremendous.
I agree there, yeah.
Plus, I think the headpiece looks better because they mix like a polished metal or something. Everything else, like his legs look so small and janky. They look terrible.
The legs are bad. I feel like full body shots of just the metal are bad.
Yeah. Also, we kind of glazed over this because we're talking about the good stuff about Cyborg, but just the whole F the world thing was just because it's R-rated. I'm sure.
That very much felt like when the DC animated movies try to drop F-bombs, right? Yeah. It's like nah, that's
Or like
you
that
just
Titan
sound like
show
an edgy 13-year-old when you do that.
It's like that Titan show, the whole F Batman thing. The whole
That's exactly what it felt like. You're right.
And again, it's a problem because earlier, but right before we got there, we had that lovely, perfect scene of him helping out the struggling mother.
Exactly.
It's like, what does that even mean? He just clearly did not F the world. What's going on? Anyway, so point being, we're back to good stuff, Cyborg here. So, he has like the little thing with Alfred. I'm sorry, do I know he was out? As we have I call it the Bat Scuttler from Lego Batman. We have like the Nightcrawler, which is like...
Oh, it's really cool. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's very toygenic.
Yeah. There's a question. We never really see them all on it at the same time, which is the whole reason it's there. So it's kind of pointless. But outside of we need Batman to be able to fight Steppenwolf somehow, like shooting missiles at him. So that's how we do it.
I'm okay with that. I'm honestly okay with that.
It's not a deal breaker at all. I'm just saying, it's just kind of like when you really think about it. But yeah, it's fine. Let's see. So again, I missed the whole save one person thing. I love here, but we do have something in lieu of that though. We do have Cyborg and Flash saving civilians, which is cool.
Dragon, I will say, I'm surprised you're not more into this movie, just because I know your big thing with superheroes is very simple. You love when superheroes save people, and I feel like superhero saving people was all over this movie.
Well, I mean, yeah, T. That's what I'm saying. As it goes forward, by the time I want to say, honestly, once we pick up momentum, once the team is actually formed, I don't know if I want to say part 4 on, or it might have been earlier than that.
Dragon, you're very right about this. It is very much kind of like a Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 and Part 2. It's like Part 1 really is the setup, and then Part 2 is all the momentum. So you're not wrong in that regard.
Because again, if that Flash Iris scene weren't so kind of auteur, if it weren't over auteured, if you will, I felt that I don't know. I might be completely on. I might be completely on board with the Flash, but outside of that, it's we're saving people, and that's awesome.
Okay.
But again, so I love Flash checking on Victor's dad, hey, you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Just stuff like that. Him leading the way out there. It's we got some great, and of course, Batman having a really nice role in here. Basically, Batman's it's a foreshadow of what's going to happen during the big action sequence. I'll draw the parademons away. You get the people out of there. You save the people. That's my Batman right there. Yeah.
And I really do view Batman as kind of the Nick Fury of the Justice League in a way.
Absolutely.
He doesn't need to be the most effective in fights just because he probably is the most effective in terms of the team building.
I did notice something kind of maybe very slightly crestfallen with Batman in this movie, though.
What?
So we injure Flash, basically, so honestly, a scene I kind of wish we cut out, because later on when he gets injured, it's much more dramatic and awesome. When he just gets injured here, we have to do it so parademons can carry him away. And so after that, so now his leg is injured for a moment there, so we have Batman kind of helping him kind of out of the getting him back to the Nightcrawler so they can escape the oncoming flood from the missile. And I just kind of realized, oh my god, Affleck Batman can't run. When he runs, it looks silly because he's too heavy and weighted down. He can't run. That's every time he runs, it's CG. If you really look at it, it's oh god, yeah, he can't run.
Right.
It's it's such a cool looking Batman, yet the one design flaw, he can't run as fast as the animated Dark Knight Returns Batman. Oh no. Anyway, right. So let's see. Again, Wonder Woman versus Steppenwolf, pretty cool. We're gonna tee up a lot of that. I love the gauntlet move. Once Batman's using the gauntlet, Alfred's oh, my gauntlets work. Yay, Alfred, we'll celebrate later. And okay, let's see. So we learn. Okay, so we glazed over this. This is now going to become important. So, what did you think about this and the whole device of we streamlined how Steppenwolf operates much better here than we did in the other one? Where okay, Steppenwolf he goes to Chernobyl. It goes to essentially like the Chernobyl like
Oh my
Mile
god,
Island or
I feel like
whatever.
it works so much fucking better.
And when he goes there, it's not just going there like to build an evil lair. He's building a base for when the forces come and everything. And when he's going there, he's because you turn toxic materials into like the giant dome being the idea.
Dragon, in the moment, I was just like, oh, it actually makes sense now.
We don't have like the random Russian family keep building up.
Dostoevsky.
Yeah. That's I'll forgive the Dostoevsky thing, but the problem is like we just keep building. And that's the problem. Like, we can't just have a family there. Like, no, it's just like, and they're there.
Yeah, no, I totally hear you.
Don't forget the family's there.
Oh, the kid's gonna fucking use the bug spray to fight off the parademons.
Anyway, but yeah, so I mean, he keeps going there. He keeps conversing with Darkseid's #2 guy, Desaad. So what do you think about that whole the whole liquid metal like fire thing?
Yeah, I liked it. It was pretty solid.
So Steppenwolf made a big discovery. He learned from the, I believe, the mother boxes or something. He learned about that the anti-life equation is on the planet. The Darkseid back in the past, he didn't realize it. So I love how we keep building Darkseid. We do like the liquid metal introduction of Darkseid. So Tiki, again, how do you feel about Darkseid in this movie? This is like a big like wish list thing of the DC universe to get Darkseid on screen.
I'm a very casual DC Comics fan. I don't know a ton about Darkseid as a character. So honestly, my biggest takeaway with him is just that it gave Steppenwolf more motivation, and I appreciated it from that lens. I hate to disappoint you, Dragon. I really don't have much thoughts on how he's characterized one way. Like, in some ways, I appreciate it because it was kind of Sauron-esque, and I appreciate the Sauron quality because I'm a big Lord of the Rings whore, as we'll get to when we talk about Peter Jackson's King Kong in a couple days. But yeah, I like the Sauron kind of style quality that he has, where it's not necessarily it's kind of like I'm sorry, I'm gonna go down a fucking Lord of the Rings rabbit hole that you're probably not even gonna understand, but it's like with Darkseid, it kind of reminds me of like Sauron before he became the big floaty eye. It was like he's kind of like Sauron in his actual physical form, and like I said, I appreciate the high fantasy of it, and I also appreciate that it gives Steppenwolf more of a motivation. Other than that, I don't like in terms of characterization. I don't have a ton to say. In terms of comic accuracy, I literally know next to nothing about how close it is to the comics. So,
Well, I mean, honestly, I'm not looking for the moon with Darkseid because Darkseid pretty much is like just evil incarnate in the DC universe. He's just like he's reserved evil power, and we keep building. He's basically intimidation. That's his whole thing. Like the guy who like more intimidating
yeah,
than Thanos being the idea. So
but
he anyways.
that's where my Sauron stuff does come from.
Yeah.
Because Sauron in Lord of the Rings very much is also evil incarnate for sure.
Yeah. So again, absolutely Steppenwolf's motivation basically he's trying to redeem himself in Darkseid's eyes after kind of trying to betray him once, which Apocalypse is like a power struggle for the throne occasionally. So that's probably what that's referring to. So just the idea that he's like 50,000 worlds of the other like God knows how many others he's had to kind of like transform into like these apocalypse kind of planets to kind of get back in Darkseid's good graces, which is already a losing battle. So basically, the big thing that's going to get him points with Darkseid is the thing he's been searching for his entire life, the anti-life equation. No pun intended. And they've never quite nailed down what exactly the anti-life equation is. I mean, I guess baseline, it's that it's hidden on Earth traditionally in some way, shape, or form. In this case, carved into it. And I assume the idea is that if you get the anti-life equation, he can do, instead of going world by world for like all God knows how many countless worlds, he can do in one grand sweep with the anti-life equation. Saves him all the time in the world. And basically it'll make basically it's the epiphany globally. You'll be in control of everyone's perception. They're going to realize life is meaningless, anti-life being the idea. But again, it's never been quite nailed down what exactly this this thing is. But just Darkseid really intimidating. I think just again how we build him up to when we eventually see him is really cool. So yeah.
Okay.
Like Darkseid is I think what Snyder's getting at, assuming Snyder was intentional for this, and again maybe in part 2 would have gotten to this point, where basically Darkseid feels like what Superman's fear of what he would have become. Like if Superman was seen as just like as a god, he would be Darkseid, which is what Superman does not want. Then again, Superman have to say things for us to get that point, but
Yeah. Okay, so that brings us into part 5, All the King's Horses, one of the best Alfred lines.
Yes. We also have the Martian Manhunter. Should we talk about him first?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, really quick. We'll get into that.
Yeah, so this is my most anticipated element of this going, by the way.
I really I don't... Here's the thing with Martian Manhunter, Dragon. I really think that the Lois and Martha scene, I honestly think it's a good heart-to-heart, and it plays better if it's really Martha.
Here's what I think happened. I'm pretty sure this is what happened, Tiki.
Oh, God.
So I'm pretty sure this is the result of like 2 reshoots where they got this is purely when they get the funding, because he always wanted to do this, but he never could. He got the funding. We put CG on at least Harry Lennox is the actor's name. The guy, I know him from The Blacklist as Harold Cooper. I know it's not his name. I think it's Harry Lennox. He's played General Swan in the other Man of Steel and BVS. This guy's been built into the Snyderverse. And I'm convinced that once we got the money to do reshoots and add some extra scenes, and this is like a real simple scene where it was purely in the Snyder Cut, it was probably an actual Lois and Martha scene, and then at the tail end, we filmed someone coming out of the apartment and then transforming.
We got to set up the Martian Manhunter somehow.
Yep, we have to make that stupid campaign we had, Unite the Seven, make sense. So,
I forgot about that. Oh my God.
Yep. Remember,
that was a really dumb campaign.
And again, it was completely pointless because they never got to their part 2. So now, because I don't know if Martian Manhunter was the integrity thing, it was really like David Goyer, when he was involved in Man of Steel, like he always put down the Martian Manhunter. So it was always like, oh God, I want the Martian Manhunter, but not if that guy's going to write him. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, I was really looking forward to Martian Manhunter. He just really, with stuff like that scene, we just retroactively put him in 2 scenes like that. He just really doesn't do much. And I was like, yeah, we got him.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about him. I think he looks cool, but that's really about it.
Well, the nice thing I can say about the scene is that any way you slice it, even if it, honestly, this the kind of a put down on Snyder. I'm sorry, is that I think Snyder forgot how Diane Lane was in the other 2 movies because now she has a Southern accent.
Honestly, Diane Lane's acting in these movies in general has always been pretty inconsistent. Either he was being too polite to, or he forgot that. Just like, Diane, you kind of sounded different in the other 2 movies, but Okay. I will say also that me having to explain who Martian Manhunter was to my dad was not fun because I barely know who he is myself.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you haven't watched any Supergirl, have you?
The only point of reference I have for Martian Manhunter is those 2, mostly that Christmas episode that you showed me. That's mostly my point of reference.
Martian Manhunter is awesome.
Basically, the only thing I could explain to him was he's an alien, but a good guy.
Did you mention that he likes Oreos?
No, I didn't.
Oh, that's like the coolest thing. Anyway, but I mean, the idea being that with the whole Swan reveal is that he and Lois have been in each other's lives for the other 2 movies, so it kind of makes sense that he's giving her the pep talk because he's friends with her. That's kind of nice, though, when you kind of add that layer to the scenes. I mean, that's kind of nice. I mean, yeah, you're right. We don't kind of conflicts with that other scene, but it's kind of nice anyway. So he's trying to get her out of her funk because they're buddies. I don't know.
Yeah.
Also, probably because he knows that she's the key.
You know what? The whole thing with the key, I'm just glad that there's some sort of payoff to that shit and all. At this point, I don't really care what it is. I'm just glad that the fucking key fit into the keyhole.
Yeah, I don't
really care how we got there.
I made this deep cut DC joke with her being the key. Is that there is a character, I believe a Batman villain called the Key. It's like, what if that was,
God.
Lois became the key?
Lois Lane.
She's the key, and she's the bad guy who has her whole shtick is that she can open everything.
Oh my God, that'd be amazing.
Seriously, you got to look into the Key. The Key is a fun concept. There's also a creepy version of the Key too. But anyway, so all right, so that brings us to part 5.
Okay. Oh god. Yeah, part 5. All the King's horses. Okay. All right. So yeah, this is basically the let's bring back Superman chapter of our little story here.
Yeah, and they're all on board for this, by the way. There's no like debate like we had in
Oh,
2017.
I
Like,
found that so refreshing. I really
absolutely.
did.
And again, I like how
There's a little bit of like moral quandary, but not much.
but I love Batman's argument in this scene versus the other one. It's a very strategic pull. Is that our only chance at stopping Steppenwolf and saving the day here is if we had Superman, who was the deterrent previously. So if we brought him back, because we know now we had the little cyborg origin sequence, like literally saw like, how he came back to life and everything, in case people forgot.
Yeah, yeah.
So that kind of filled in the blanks of, well, we know what it's capable of, and hence the whole title Change Machine, by the way. Change Machine means like it changes matter. So that's kind of what it does. So basically, you're not really bringing alive or dead. You're just kind of changing matter. So it's kind of like alive matter in a sense. So, but yeah, so we kind of like, it is possible. Hence, like now we're actually doing it with all the King's horses and all the King's men, says Alfred, the whole Humpty Dumpty analogy.
Mm-hmm. I really like the small moment where Flash and Cyborg kind of like take a moment to acknowledge that they could dig up Superman, like in a matter of seconds, but out of respect, they don't.
Yeah, this is going to sound weird, but I like the bonding over the grave robbing.
Well, I think it's a lot better than the bonding over the grave robbing and the fucking Whedon version.
I can't really remember. I know you're talking about. I just can't remember exactly
the awkward, like, hey, look at the racial tension. Like, I think at one point Flash literally just awkwardly says, like, oh, that's racial tension. Ooh. It's like, no, it's like in this version, it's literally just like the race doesn't matter at all. It's just two people kind of sharing a love of Superman.
I don't recall any racial tension, but it's been a while.
No. I'm saying, like, I'm literally saying it's just like a brief, like, how Flash has, like, these awkward, like, little pops of dialogue. I think, like, I don't know.
Well, we saw that earlier, so I believe you.
Yeah.
Anyway, but no, you're right. I do like I think Barry and Flash's dynamic is even better here, though. I love the whole. I love Ray Fisher was so good. I just love the back and forth, even though we had like the silly gag about like, hey, you think Wonder Woman would go for a younger guy? She's 5,000 years old.
That was kind of I wasn't a fan of that joke.
But I love the response, though. I love Cyborg's like just how Fisher says she's 5,000 years old. Barry, every guy's a younger. I just love like this. Like it feels like he's known Flash forever at this point. I just love it.
Yeah.
And also, even better with the dynamics. And again, I like how all the meet and greet qualities. We're building like rapport and everything with our characters, which we did not have in the other one. We have Wonder Woman and Aquaman. The whole idea that it's kind of a Flashpoint idea that Amazons and Atlanteans were at war with each other. They feuded.
Yeah, and again, it's I hate to go back to the Tolkien well, but it kind of reminds me of like elves and dwarves in that story.
Yeah, and like the whole like they share like the same saying that none are taken from darkness without giving up one in return. So that whole chestnut. I love Aquaman offering his flask to her, like, no, thank you. That's great. All right, let's see. So Alfred's the only one who voices like legit concerns over bringing Superman back to life, and again, at least we had someone like as the voice of reason, like saying maybe this isn't a good idea. Yeah, so yeah, some good stuff there, and you have the little charging bull red cape thing, which is accurate. Ultimately, what's going to happen when these two guys fight each other? So, all right, so the plan pretty much sneaking the Star Labs with the microbe false alarm leads to a really nice moment between Victor and his father, like that little nod, which is great.
Oh yeah, I love that moment.
Yeah.
Like I said, I love that. Like with Victor and his father, it's like they never completely get on the same terms with each other throughout the movie until after it's over, but I feel like that makes it all the more poignant. I love the bit with the tape recorder. I love that. I felt like that payoff was really satisfying.
Yeah.
So, all right. So yeah, then we get. Of course, this whole thing is almost kind of like a predecessor to how the Flash is going to come into play in the finale, which I kind of like the setup there. Kind of like a slightly more lower stakes version of that.
Yeah. course, when this plan happens, we add like a really important wrinkle into things, which I thought was fascinating. This is a great add-on that we had in this film, where Cyborg's logging into the thing. He's about to start the process, and he's doing the countdown. I love how tense the scene is too. Like Batman's like, "No, keep going, keep going." Everyone's like, "I don't know about this." Like, "No, just keep going." Where Cyborg, like right before he gets down after one, right before he says go, before he's supposed to say go. He gets a flash into like the potential nightmare future, and like all these like horrible things that are going to happen if they bring Superman back to life, which is just it's a great sequence. It's like then you get to see full on Darkseid putting his hand on Superman's shoulder as he after he vaporized Lois Lane. You get like holding like the skeleton of Lois Lane in his arms. You have like the Hall of Justice in complete shambles with the Joker playing card and Superman holding Batman's mask, the dead Wonder Woman, the dead Kilowog, Green Lantern. I'm pretty sure it was Kilowog. Like all sorts of really, really cool stuff. He uses the Omega beams to kill some Atlanteans. Like it's awesome.
Yeah.
And then we have a moment that kind of undercuts it with Cyborg says no, and Flash mishears this as go. So not great. Yep. Then we set up the time reversal, which I don't know. I wish the time reversal, ultimately the payoff is amazing later on, but it feels like, really? We're going to, like, does he have to reverse time for this very second? Like, can't just be, he's the Flash. He's not fast enough to get there. We had to reverse time to do that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think if anything, it's just a good kind of like setup. Like, it's not great, but
anyway, so then we have the Superman fight, which is the Dark Superman fight, which is cool. I missed the Dark. The one moment I wanted the Danny Elfman music back is like when we did the Dark Superman thing. That would have been great, but we didn't. We took that out of there. But it's still as cool a sequence as it was anyway. So
and I again, still think the moment with Flash and Superman like eyeing each other is like fucking wonderful.
It is. As I'm saying, we made this scene again. I wish Batman called in Lois as the contingency. That's like the only critique I have on the scene. Everything else it's flawless.
Yeah, Lois just kind of happens to be at the right place at the right time in this version. That's not great.
Like she's going one last time thanks to Martian Manhunter giving her the pep talk, and then we pay off the coffee thing. It's like but it's not. Again, she's not just there completely out of the blue, but it just feels a little orchestrated versus like Batman actually like having it as a contingency, which is very quintessential Batman. I love the exchange a lot better than the whole "do you bleed" like that that thing. Where I just love that Batman's last words, because I love that Batman's willing to die because he feels like he deserves it after what happened with BVS. Is that this world needs you, Clark. This world needs you. It's the last thing he wants to impart on Superman before he's about to die. Even Alfred's gauntlets can't save him. And then Lois saves his bacon. That's great. And of course, there's a very important PS to this scene. Muy importante PS to what happens after Superman and Lois fly off. Tiki, what happens?
I'm sorry, 4 hours, Dragon. What happens, please?
Who dies?
Victor Stone's father?
Yes, Silas dies.
I'm sorry. Lot to keep track of in the order here. I love this because I like his death was super meaningful in the fact that it gives them a fighting edge, and they don't just randomly know where Steppenwolf is. You know, it's like, I don't know. I felt it was very poignant.
It's a gruesome Dr. Manhattan death too. Like
it is. Yeah.
See, that's the thing. That laser is kind of, I think it's like a subtle nod to Cyborg's origin in the comics, where like a lab action like that with the box and the like a laser is kind of what causes. I don't know, but it's a little bit of a throwback there. Anyway, so. Yeah, so now he died to mark the box so they could find it, which is really brave and really honorable. And poor Victor he's lost everything now. Therefore, he wants to be he's dedicated to, we got to make this plan work. I got nothing left to lose. We got to make this plan work, which takes us into part 6.
Something darker. I like the character stuff with Victor leading up to this. I like Aquaman kind of having a lot of sympathy for him when in the original version, Aquaman, from what I remember, was just kind of like a jerk to Cyborg a couple times, and that was really about it.
I don't remember him being that. I think it was more maybe to Batman more. I don't know if it was that mean to Cyborg.
I don't know. I just think like it's nice that they have a little something going on.
We toned down how bro-y he was, though. He was very bro-y in the other one.
Yeah, they did, and the moments that they do have where he's bro-y, I feel like work pretty well.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Right, anyways.
We take the Justice League to the Batcave, which is great. I love like the meet and greets with Alfred in person. Like Batman
Can I
has
just
this
say
great line.
one of my favorite elements of Ezra Miller's performance is I just love his dorky geek out faces whenever he's like I feel like the Flash in this movie is a great kind of like he works really well as like an eyes of the audience kind of character dragon. Like I love how it's like he's kind of like a tourist along for the ride. Like, oh my god, it's the bat symbol, or oh my god, it's the bat cave. Like I don't know, like I was really digging the performance where he was just kind of just like geeking out about all the stuff he was involved in.
By the way, hilarious scene in the other part with Flash where he just does that like he does that thing where he accidentally trips into he trips into Aquaman because Superman's so fast he can dodge it, and after that scene he's like Aquaman's like pulling you, he's just saying I'm so sorry. It's hilarious.
Also,
like
I
that.
just want to point out, like, I'm so glad that we got rid of the like, in my opinion, one of the cringiest parts of the original, which was the whole like, I don't not like you. That is to me like a low point of Batfleck Dragon.
Yeah, it's not one of his it's not his best moment. I mean, I like the tone of that scene, but it's like, yeah, of all the lines, no,
That and then somewhere's definitely bleeding.
Okay, that to me is the low point. See, that's the action. I'll take the other one before something's definitely bleeding.
Great.
Anyway, okay, what was I getting? All right. I mean, again, honestly, Flash and Aquaman's dynamic is so fun with the whole hat thing. Okay, Arthur, which hat do you like better? Which one looks less conspicuous? Like, let me see option A again. It's like really funny. Anyway, like they make. I'd love to see them as roommates or something. I'd love to see it's like a comedy with those two. Anyway, so but yeah, we're in the back. Yeah. I love Flash when he's in the back, just waving at Alfred, and Alfred waving back at him. It's hysterical. That's what I'm saying. After that one scene, it's just it goes up for him. I don't know. It's great. And everything else. So we have this. Everyone's kind of like welcome Alfred. Batman introduced something. This is Alfred. I work for him. That's a lovely introduction to Alfred. It's really nice. Of course, Batman has like the awesome trailer. I don't care how many demons he's fought in how many hells. He's never fought us, not us united. Like that's a great line. That's Affleck turning on the Batman charm there. And of course, he's like fixing like the javelin or like the troop carrier thanks to the Cyborg. We're getting in fighting shape for the big, climax, so to speak. It's funny. We have a call out of Superman. This is where we should probably talk about the Superman stuff. So he's getting back in the swing of things now. He's back to life. He's bonding with Lois. He's on the Kent farm, and I took a rewatch to fully appreciate this. Where initially I'm thinking Lois literally calls out Superman's BVS problems as where he says like this is home. He says you spoke. Did I not before? Like no, you didn't, Superman. You didn't speak enough before. That was your problem. Yeah. So we actually gave Superman a few lines, which is progress. And I think more importantly, what Snyder's doing here, and I think maybe the plan all along, hopefully, we're looping back to the Man of Steel stuff with the score and everything, which is big, but also the, like he's falling in love with Smallville again. He's kind of getting in touch with his humanity. And the big line that he has, the most character I get from Superman in this entire film, which I wish was more, but it's something, is the whole, I just got a second chance, Lois. I'm not going to waste it. It's like that's him. Like I messed up in the other two films. I'm messed up in the last film. I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to be the happy Cavill Superman. Unfortunately, he's not as happy Cavill Superman as I'd like, but it's still he's making progress. It's making progress.
It's interesting. I feel like some of the happy Cavill stuff is like honestly directly linked to some of the cringy Ezra Miller Flash stuff. So, like for example, like the saving the Russian family versus saving the house full of people, or the brunch thing. So it's interesting that I feel like, he's not quite as jovial as he is in the Whedon cut, but again, I feel like it's kind of like sacrifices that I'm willing to part with.
I mean, the line with Superman for me is in general, I'm drawing here, is that it's. I love when Superman shows up and he awesomely takes out Steppenwolf, and he like lasers off a horn and everything. That is great action. I am not denying that is an amazingly awesome sequence. But when he has bits like he shows up, he freezes the axe, not impressed. And his ferocity of like beating him like really savagely. It's like, I mean, you take that and compare it to the one feather in the cap of 2017, where Superman shows up, and they have like essentially the John Williams Superman theme playing in a sense,
Yeah.
some variation of it, and he's like, the blue suit, True Justice, the American Way. That's Cavill playing the Superman he's always wanted to play. How does that not fill you with delight? That's the one thing that this Superman does not have, despite being cool that he's come back in a black suit. It's just like where's the traditional Superman?
I mean, it is.
It's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow after everything we've been through. It's like.
Kind of goes back to the Usher theory, though. I don't really feel like Snyder was interested in like doing a beat by beat of, of the Boy Scout Superman. So.
Speaking of the stuff Snyder did right, though, I love that Fortress of Solitude scene where he's just getting, we kind of play the clips of, Jor-El and Jonathan Kent kind of giving their pep talks to him over the years. And that kind of like inspires him to be the hope again, use a second chance.
That was really good.
And of course, we're mirroring the first flight of Man of Steel. So that was tremendous. That was great. And that's what I'm saying. That teased everything up perfectly for Superman. So that's great.
Sure. Okay.
It's overall, I mean, it's pretty similar fight stuff. Just we infiltrate the fortress.
What's the big exception of the Flash?
Yes, Flash had an actually important thing to do, which is.
I honestly thought the stuff with the Flash was freaking phenomenal, in my opinion.
Also, I think the Batmobile usage was a lot better too. Like we're actually using the Batmobile to shoot things that he should be shooting.
Still kind of on the sidelines, but I feel like it's a little more engaging.
Yeah, he was going for the sacrificial plan. I think it landed over here too, where
exactly.
he was going to draw the parademons away from them so they could take care of the task, and they all saved his bacon. We got some cool money shots, and also the ejector seat. That was awesome. We got the ejector seat. But
Sure.
So again, we have some fight stuff, and then we have this device. So during all this, Cyborg he's trying to link up with the box so they can stop Doomsday. Essentially, I shouldn't say that in this franchise. They stop Apocalypse, to stop the end of the world. So while he's doing that, Flash is building up momentum to kind of charge him so we can get into the mother box. Now again, he's basically running around like crazy, building up, and as Cyborg's distracting, they're all fighting Steppenwolf at this time before Superman shows up, which is difficult. Flash is like, the tension is mounting in the scene. Victor, I can't hold this much longer. Victor, give me the go ahead.
Yeah.
And then we have, I'll admit, it's kind of like right when he's ready, it's like this kind of a dumb bit of like, really, a parademon had like this 1,000,000-to-1 shot of just shooting him so he trips after all that build-up, but it leads to a great dramatic Flash moment, though. It leads to that great moment where he's injured, he's down. Like, I'm okay. I'm just, he's really, you can see how wounded the kid is.
Uh-huh.
I'll just shake it off and a moment to catch my breath. And you see he's really hurt there. Like it's like a shot to his side. He's not doing well. And he's not going to be able to make it with that speed again in time. So what does he do, Tiki?
Can you keep setting me up for this shit? I'm sorry. Just go ahead.
Well, you brought it up. I thought you anyway. So basically, he does the big time travel moment where basically he's doing like the old Galaxy Quest solution. Let's wind the clocks back 13 seconds before the world ended. Let's do that.
Yeah.
So he winds it back, and he's going forward.
I'm not saying I didn't remember that habit. I'm just saying like you could probably explain it better than I can.
Right. But yeah, it's a great moment. It's a great payoff of him just kind of like trying to make an impact on the world like his father wants, which is nice. And he's going for the full. He's going for the full stride there. We have the huge, awesome money shot of Darkseid with the opening to Apocalypse with him, Granny Goodness, and Desaad, and just seeing full on Darkseid. All that's really cool. And Cyborg saves the day pretty much. I love how they all play a part because Batman got them together, Flash rewound the clocks, Cyborg he hacked into the boxes, Superman beat the crap out of Steppenwolf, Aquaman impaled him, and Wonder Woman cut his freaking head off.
Yeah.
And then the one thing I was expecting going into this cut truly was Darkseid crushes that other horn off Steppenwolf's head, and then we have like an awesome Darkseid moment, anti-life. We found anti-life, and we're like rallied the forces. We're going to Earth essentially. Like that's awesome. Like Darkseid's coming. That's going to be huge. And day is saved. The Justice League strikes a pose, and that's technically the ending of the film.
Yeah, and then we get into the epilogue, and Dragon. This is a little bit of a mess. I'm not.
This is like I believe, as you would put it, this is like Lord of the Rings, like the one too many endings, right?
Except I will defend the Lord of the Rings one too many endings thing. I mean, you're right. That's like how you would
define it, but like for me, with the big difference between this and Return of the King is, I honestly think the point with them standing together is like pretty much like, yeah, this is pretty much where you should end things. It's a good, solid wrap up to all the characters and their journeys. With Return of the King, it's like you don't end it with the fucking ring being destroyed. It's like there's still a ton of character stuff. So you need those multiple endings. So yeah, I don't know. This whole thing just felt like, like, hey, let's set up shit that's not actually going to get paid off. Probably, I don't know.
We do it a lot. So I mean, you have the first thing is that we have the tape recorder payoff, which is nice. Like Joe Morton getting a little nice kind of catharsis and narration as Cyborg's kind of coming to grips with things. Setting up, Choi with the lab, and of course Batman bought the bank. So Martha, the guy's doing right by Martha still, which is nice.
Uh-huh.
And I just love how he puts it too. I like thanks for doing this, Bruce. I undid a mistake. Like that's a nice way of putting it. Like I undid a mistake, and he's setting up the Hall of Justice, and then we have the silly foot in the door thing, which I think we could have lost that, but we just have Happy Henry Allen. But
I don't mind the foot in the door thing. I really don't. I really don't know why that bothers you so much.
It's just I don't know. It's just, why is he? No one really looks at foot in the door as that big a deal. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
What did you think of the Dark Knight Returns Batmobile?
It's fine. I don't know. I don't have a strong opinion.
It's like the giant CG tank, though. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it's. I think it's like him getting ready for the coming storm of Nightmare. So he's like, he needs a new Batmobile anyway. So I'm going to go with the giant tank one. That's going to help me once we get to the Nightmare future, maybe.
Uh-huh.
And Romello has a comment here. It's very relevant. The last one Romello put in there. So we do the ending with Superman ripping the shirt open, which we stuck with the black suit, which is an interesting choice.
I agree with Romello on this one. Honestly, I think the red and blue would have been fitting. It would have been the only time we see it in the movie. So yeah, it's a small detail, but I would have liked to see the red and blue.
Me too.
All
right. So then we have like 3 post-credit scenes.
Oh dear God.
Crazy.
We can just yada.
Yeah. I'm just
right in there. There's nothing really like changed there.
Well, I mean, like Eisenberg has some good Lex stuff. I think Eisenberg actually. This is honestly the most I've liked him as Lex Luthor. Honestly, this is
that's a low bar, but yeah, sure.
The only thing to make note of here, outside of that crazy laughing guy, which they really hung on for a long time, I don't know why, is this teased up the Affleck Batman movie that we didn't get, that we're definitely not getting. Where Deathstroke now knows that he's Bruce Wayne, and the assumedly is, again, never trust Snyder, but I think the idea was that Deathstroke was going to kill Alfred in that Batman movie.
Oh damn, that would have been.
Yeah, it would have been, but again, we're not going to see it, so it's fine. So then we have the nightmare future. So this to me,
what the hell is Jared Leto doing?
Yeah, this is a Snyder Cut special for sure. This is all reshot stuff. This is all
honestly, Dragon, because it's so obviously not part of the original Snyder Cut, I can kind of just forgive it as like, whatever. At this point, this is just pure misguided fan service.
Yeah, but this is the frustrating thing, though, Tiki. This is the thing I was really avoiding spoilers for and everything, because I keep hearing this whole Jared Leto, you got the Jared Leto Joker in the movie. I'm thinking, okay, obviously.
And it's totally just a great cop-out, like, it was all a dream.
And it's, because, again, they keep not taking a stance on what the heck these things are, because it's probably
annoying. Yeah, I'm with you.
And it's the fact that each chapter, I'm looking at the titles thinking we're going to get the nightmare section in this thing. We kind of got that one tease at it with Cyborg when he saw like the actual potential vision of the future. But it's like, well, where was Leto? Where was the Joker thing? They keep hyping up. So I had to wait till the end of the movie to get it. And when we got it was, I mean, look, in all fairness, we gave Leto an actual scene to play. So that's something. We gave him an actual scene. But it still
wasn't good.
No, but we gave him a scene, so now we know for sure. Okay, he would not have been a good Joker. Now we know.
Yeah, no, I'm still curious about the AR cut, but I'm not like wanting it like I used to. I'm like, if we never see it, it's fine. I can live.
I mean, the good news is we can say Affleck shared a scene with Leto, so we can say that at least. They actually had a scene with him. I think the idea is that Joker baited Batman into a trap for Superman. I think that's really what the scene's about.
Uh-huh.
I could be wrong because again, who can? Like, I hate how this scene was shot, by the way, because he keeps go rack and focus and everything. It's a stupidly shot scene.
One thing I will say is that I do think, like, when we do see the makeup job on Joker, it looks a hell of a lot better than the damaged bullshit we got in Suicide Squad.
His teeth look terrible, though. They just keep looking terrible each movie.
Well, I mean, the teeth looking terrible is part of like.
I know that's what I'm saying. So they kind of look,
yeah.
it's just, yeah.
I'm kind of down with the idea of like it's because Batman's punched his teeth out so many times.
There's also an extra layer. Someone kind of has speculated about that too, which is even cooler. Is that the reason Joker's laugh is so weird, a la Leto, is when Batman was like punching his teeth out, he practically strangled him too. That's why he can't laugh properly.
Yeah.
Great idea. So honestly, the conversation here seems to be like in part 2 of Justice League. The big thing that was teed up by Snyder for God knows how many interviews is that Batman would die in the second part. So I think that's kind of what they're alluding to with Joker, kind of mocking Batman for all these realities. You don't die, and I think the payoff would probably be Batman's actually going to die. So that would be kind of like him kind of proving the Joker wrong at that point. That would be the key to saving, the real key to saving and undoing all the stuff would be Batman dying, and for Superman and everything to live. And there's a really good theory I heard that I think actually might be true. So to explain all these weird like dream-like things when Batman keeps waking up with the dreams and everything. So in the comics, Batman has a really memorable altercation with Darkseid, and essentially, when we kind of in quotes killed Batman off for a year in comics. And the way we did it was that Darkseid blasted him with something called the Omega Sanction, which sent him through time. So I think there's a chance that Batman is dead, and the way they killed him off is that Darkseid blasted him with that beam already in part 2, and the Ben Affleck Batman keeps dreaming about his fate. It keeps dreaming about the future because he's already dead.
Okay, you kind of lost me.
Okay, just the point being, I think he's
That's
dreaming
a lot
of his
exposition, Dragon.
Yeah, basically, he's just Batman. He might be dreaming this because he's kind of going through time because of Darkseid.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Well, I mean, Darkseid is probably the reason because like his last. I
hear you. I hear you. I'm sorry. It was just took me a minute to connect.
Yeah, his quote unquote death might be the reason he's hearing this. He's seeing all this anyway. So either that or the Martian Manhunter who shows up. Either that or the Martian Manhunter's putting in his head right now, which they don't say that, so we don't know. Hence the speculation. So Martian Manhunter and very thin Affleck.
Yeah.
Because he is a completely reshot Affleck, he's looking a little rough. I don't know. Some people say it looks younger. It just looks less bulkier.
Yeah.
So I gotta tell you, there was a really nice heartwarming moment here. You can probably kind of like rail me for my non-cynicism here. I really love this bit where Martian Manhunter says your parents will be proud of you, Bruce. Because that's kind of what the whole Affleck's arc and the whole DCU's been about. He's trying
I like that too. I thought the Martian Manhunter was like a little unnecessary, but that line was good.
That's the thing. Like, he is unnecessary. It's like, man, what were you doing during all this? You're showing up now because we didn't put you in the movies before. It's like,
exactly.
Why are you here now? But he had a really nice sentiment, though. It's just this whole, like, they be proud of you, Bruce. Like, Bruce has been trying to undo everything. It's like, by the end of things, you set things right. You brought Superman back. You kind of earned honor back in our eyes, in a sense, I guess. It's like, it's just him saying they'd be proud. I don't know. It's kind of sweet.
Sure. Right. Okay. So, Dragon, let's wrap things up. Final thoughts, and I just noticed that our image is gone, so let me get that back up. Final thoughts.
Nix the banner.
I will.
Okay, so final thoughts.
Go for it.
All right. Okay. So, look, I've always inherently thought it was a mistake to adapt like the New 52 Justice League story, which essentially is the model for the whole version of Justice League we're talking about. Anyway, slice it, the whole Parademons, Darkseid, all that stuff. I think it was a mistake to rush to Apocalypse and do the Darkseid stuff as your first outing with the Justice League. That's like sequel territory. It's like that's how you do that's your Ultron or your Thanos right there. That's how you up the stakes big time. Had we gotten a part 2 to this, I think this may have played a lot better, but it's a what if. I don't know that for certain. It's like Zack Snyder's all promises, and what ifs. I don't trust him at all at this point. I don't trust him. But, this cut is better. For me, it's better after part 1 for sure. After that first part, it's kind of choppy getting there, but once it builds momentum, this cut gets really good. It does. Doesn't quite fix. I don't think it fixed Superman. Like Whedon does, but I think like the Whedon cut did, but we get closer. I kind of wish we could meld them together because I love the build up, and if only we could put them in that blue suit at the end, maybe I don't know. But right now it's. In regards, like if we would ever get a part 2, what a part 2 might look like, I'm intrigued by what that might look like, but I'm a little afraid to get it. I don't trust it. If anyone really is interested to see what part 2 would look like, but better, is what this story might look like a little better, is like look at Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. That's what I'd recommend to you folks. Go to HBO Max, watch that. I mean, I'd say watch this, but I wouldn't go back to this often. I don't think. At least I would go to certain parts of this before I'd sit down for the whole enchilada. It's. Snyder, he kind of flew on the wings of Icarus towards the sun at parts of this. The epilogue is like him is going full Icarus. It's like, he's flown close to the sun. He's been really successful. Then he's just gone a little too far. And hey,
right at the very end, it's like Icarus is just like, I made it past the sun. Ha ha ha! Shit, it burns.
That's because again, the epilogue just feels desperate to me. It just feels like the desperate plea. Like, we can still do more, right? I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think this is as solid as
I'm with you. I was like, why is there so much emphasis on post credits when it's like, in all likelihood, this is the last we're gonna get?
Yeah, and they're not really even post credits because it's an epilogue. So,
yeah, I know. Yeah.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, just where I'd rank this is very simply is with the Snyder directed ones, it would be like I don't think this is as solid like as Man of Steel, but I think it's better than BVS and Justice League. The other cut of it. That's just me.
Okay,
that's where I'm at on it.
All right, yeah. Like I said, I really do. Just to reiterate my initial thesis, Dragon, I really do think that. Me being a film nerd, me being kind of like having a special interest in editing, the auteur theory of it all, kind of like the Lord of the Rings style mythological elements. I really do think all of that, it was kind of like a perfect storm that kind of came together of like me appreciating this. Like, I do think it's a better thought experiment than it is an actual movie. But as a thought experiment, I think it's freaking fascinating. I honestly think it's one of the most interesting cases of a director's cut, like blatantly improving the theatrical version. Like, I think it's up there with like the Blade Runner director's cut. Maybe not as like significant historically, but I'm glad we have it. Am I going to go back to it a lot? Probably not. No. Ironically, Dragon, the scene I'm probably going to go back to the most is like the one that you don't like, the big flash. Like I could see myself rewatching that, but I really don't think this project was ever meant to be like, oh, this is going to be something that people watch like over and over and over again. I really do think this is kind of like a communal, like, all right, like we were all curious about it. Here's what it is. It's a rare thing that something like this happens to such a big scale movie. So, I just kind of appreciate it for what it is, man. And like I said, I really do think, as far as the Zack Snyder movies go, Dawn of the Dead, I'm just not a zombie guy. 300, I think is style over substance. Watchmen may be technically a better movie, but I think this has a more original vision behind it. Man of Steel, I need to go back and rewatch, but from what I remember, I wasn't crazy about how indulgent that last fight scene is. Let's see, Batman v Superman. Again, I want to rewatch just because of the other side of the coin to this movie. But yeah, Sucker Punch we don't talk about. That's obviously like in a lower tier. But yeah, I really do think that this kind of gave me the feels more than any other Snyder movie did. I really think that Snyder came together with some actual emotion and character building, and he did it quite well. On top of this, I think being a pretty good culmination of his mission statement to sort of bring the epic mythology and godlike nature of these characters to the big screen. So it's just, at the end of the day, it's just a very interesting project. All right. And very interesting conversation, too, Dragon.
There's going to be like 9 more cuts of this, too, by the way.
Oh, I know.
Well, I mean, so says he, but again, I wouldn't trust him. I expect we're going to get that black and white version. There's going to be an alternate ending. I just hope
I will watch the black and white version. I will say that.
I don't get the black and white version because it's just why. But look how I don't get it.
All right. Anyways, big thanks to
Anyway.
Atomic Beast, Orange Crush, and Romello Malone for joining us in the comments. You guys rock. Where the hell's Donovan? After all this, Donovan was like the big. I mean, you know, like, don't be wrong, Donovan. I love you. I'm sure you got stuff to do, but you know, after all this build-up, he was here last night for Falcon Winter Soldier. I don't know. It's kind of weird that he's not here. But Donovan, I'm sure you're probably, you know, I'm thinking of you, buddy.
We'll see him in part 2.
Yeah. All right. See you later, buddy. See you later, everyone. Have a good night.
For Dark Side.
He got his foot in the door.
For Dark